Hello Sounders, it is Mick here with a preview of the Swansea game. Actually, before that, there's all sorts of things to talk about before that. I don't know whether any of you have been following all the World Cup shenanigans, the draw and all that stuff. There was just a funny bit in it that made me laugh. It was when the Lauryn Hill band came on to entertain the dreadful audience there, stuffed shirts, all dressed up in their dicky bows, complete wasted performance by Lauryn Hill and her band, but some entertainment for them, but they sat there like stuffed shirts. But anyway, it's a wonderful band that, I don't know whether you remember the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill album. That was her first album. But actually a lot of you weren't born, I suppose, but it was because it came out in 1998, and it was a fantastic album. Anyway, in that band, this is very oblique, this Pompey connection here, in that band was a bloke who was the spitting image of John Portsmouth FC Westwood. There he was, same hat, playing in the band. It just made me think of Westwood, and that's why I drew your attention to it. But if you missed that, did you also miss the Sutton-Shrewsbury FA Cup? Shrewsbury or Shrewsbury? Sutton-Shrewsbury FA Cup second round match. I watched it, sad as I am, because the Pompey game was, as I've already said on Pompey Sound, was unfortunately and understandably cancelled. So I turned on to that on the BBC, and it was fascinating. It was a fascinating game between a side in the lower reaches of League Division 2 in Shrewsbury and Sutton United, who are in the the National League, I think it's called, the National League. Far the better side, I have to say, Sutton. And in the end lost. The interesting thing for us was all the people that we knew who were playing or officiating in it. For example, there was John Marquis came on. Was it in the second half? I think it was late in the second half, and replaced, believe it or not, Anthony Scully. Anthony Scully. I still haven't got over the fact that he played for Pompey. Did he play for Pompey? He did play for Pompey. And he looked so ordinary playing for us. And I couldn't understand why he'd been signed. But then I did read, I think I heard, that he'd had a fantastic season or two with Lincoln City, I think, and scored a lot of goals. But he certainly didn't for us. And he hasn't blossomed since those days. Sorry, Anthony, but he hasn't blossomed since those days. If the Saturday Cup game was anything to go by, the manager of Shrewsbury was Michael Appleton. Another Pompey connection. Inscrutable man, face like a Buddha. Fortunate to come out on top, I have to say. But I was pleased for him, because if you look deep into his eyes, he looks as though he's had a tough life. I hope that isn't the case, and I'm sure it's not the case. But he has had some struggles, there's no doubt, in different clubs that he's been in, and he's got one at Shrewsbury. Chuck Sinike was came on again, I think, for Shrewsbury. But really the interest was John Marquis. He is such a so-and-so, really. He was trouble from the moment he came on the pitch, for Sutton that is, and arguably won Sutton the game, because he virtually created the sending off. I can't remember why I've jotted that down, but he did. I think maybe by all the earful he was giving the referee when the bloke, when the referee was considering what to do next after the foul. Anyway, the guy who was sent off was actually, he'd been booked stupidly. So I think I remember it now. So John Marquis. Someone was fouled. John Marquis got hold of someone on John's side was fouled. So he got hold of the ball, put it down, and went to pass it out of his hands virtually, to pass it straight away. And understandably, the Sutton guy, put his boot out. Well, it was a yard away from John, and John virtually kicked it into his boot. I think he deliberately kicked it into his boot. Anyway, the guy got sent off. Of course, he had to be, and John had him banged to rights. Then, late into the half, they were losing at this point. Sutton were winning, and blow me down. They were trying to play out from the back, and they'd been doing it fairly successfully, but very deliberately and rather slowly. And of course, John Marquis saw through that. He anticipated. The Sutton defender took the ball from the keeper, went to play it out without looking out to his left back. Across the face of the goal. Marquis had anticipated. Marquis found himself right in front of the goal with the ball at his feet and stroked it home. And that resulted, I think that became a level, and anyway, Shrewsbury then scored another goal in extra time and won the game. I can't remember too much more detail than that, Sounders. Some of you will have been watching the game and probably remember it a blooming sight better than I do, but it was never deserved for one moment, the win for Shrewsbury. And then the funny thing was that, of course, the BBC, as they always do, had a touchline chat with the man of the match. And who should be man of the match, having come on late in the second half? John Marquis, of course, was man of the match, and there he was, chatting away about how they deserved to win and how he'd anticipated the goal, which he had done, to be fair to him. And it was terrific. It was great television. It was really entertaining and good fun. Back to our team, Pompey. Sounders found the selection of our team for the Charlton game interesting, stimulating, even exciting. 6 changes, weren't there? It turned out afterwards, I was happy to go with 6 changes because I've been so disappointed with the Bristol City result. I was happy, no matter who was missing, I was happy to go with the changes. But it turned out afterwards that 3 were enforced. Poole and Knight were both injured, and Andre Giselle, of course, was suspended. And so in therefore came Matthews and Ibane Boat, and then Swift was in for Giselle. Devlin came in after having been suspended, and Min, Ayuk and Chaplin were back in the side after having been quite reasonably left out for a game or 2. I found those changes refreshing. And if I'm honest with you, I found the first 11 minutes refreshing. I thought we played okay. I thought everyone looked bright and up for it. And they were quite incisive, Pompey. And indeed, they had 3 efforts on goal, I think. At least 3 efforts on goal in the first 11 minutes. I mean, this has just not been happening. And some really interesting play, clever play by Mick, and that good break by him at one point. And that is as far as we got for reasons that you know very well by now, 11 minutes in. I sort of hope, Sounders, that the Charlton team is the basis for our team at Swansea. I can't see too many reasons how he can change too much, having selected that lot. But of course, there may be less injuries now. And I suppose, to be fair, room should be found for Regan Poole, because arguably he's been the best we've put on the field this season so far. So if he's fit again, I can quite understand if he's back. Otherwise, I simply think the experiment should be played out. We will see, Sounders, what happens. I'm certainly not arguing with the big man who is our manager. Play up, Pompey.